Hey man, you watching Cold Red with the one and only big homie. My big homie, KD. It's up there and it's stuck there. Boom!
Ricardo or more. Drink like a boss.
Cutta Classics.
6'4", riding clean.
Talk to him, bro.
Hey, there it is, there it is, there it is. Cherry lip gloss poppin', like the candy paint shining on the 6'4". Baby girl, can I get your name? Can I get your info?
Cutta Classics.
I don't never talk, I just get it done. Let them high stakes, hey, straight from the jump. Send them lead shots, hey, straight from the pump.
Hey, what up? We in Cold Red. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm your host, the Playmaker, and we out in OKC with it. And we got a very special guest in the building. CAJ, what it do?
How's it going, man? Happy to be here. Happy to be a part of this.
Man. I've been hearing so much about you in these Oklahoma City streets.
Yeah, the word goes around.
Yeah, man. Very talented, man, I must say. I have some very in-depth questions for you. You ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Well, let's get right to it.
Awesome.
So, CAJ, for the people that don't know, tell them a little bit about yourself. Where you originally from?
So I was born here and raised in Ohio. I lived here until I was born in Oklahoma City. I lived in Del City, actually kind of right down the street from where we're at, which is kind of funny how universe did a full circle loop with that, but that's for later. And then I spent most of my growing up years up in Lorain and Cleveland, Ohio. So I lived in Lorain, but often went to Cleveland quite a bit just because I loved Cleveland and skateboarding and skating out there. Multiple different things. Also, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's out in Cleveland, me loving music and whatnot, so I was always drawn to be out there in the city more often. Growing up in Cleveland and Lorain was just, very different from when I moved back down here. I was freshly 19 and moved back here, and it was still kind of like an adjustment culture-wise a little bit, because there are different similarities, of course, but I think a big thing to do is like the weather. I don't miss shoveling my driveway multiple times a day with the
snow here?
there. Huh?
No snow here?
We don't really get a lot of snow here. No, not at all. We get ice storms and thin layers of snow at max. It's very rare that we get the up north snow where it's like, oh, we have a foot of snow, foot and a half, whatever. But guess what? Out here, it can be the hint of snow and they might shut the city down. It's very interesting. So that was like interesting to get used to. But I'm grateful for both states. I don't have a choice of like people are like, well, which state do you like more? It's like I like them equally. I'm grateful for both of them as far as what they've poured into me and from influencing of both of them. And I think it's made me. Both of them have made me the musician and artist I am today. So.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that because one is Midwest and one is Southwest. And when I think about Oklahoma, from my experience of moving around, I get a little bit of both from it.
Yeah.
You get the kind of country appeal or the southern appeal.
Yep. And then you get a very Midwest appeal at the same time. 100%.
Definitely.
And it's a pretty good multicultural blend in a sense of like Oklahoma does the superpower it has as well as it's the center of the country. So you do draw a lot, even if it's from people just passing through.
Okay.
We are dead center, which is kind of a plus to when you're traveling, because just about anywhere is 24-hour driving distance if you got to drive somewhere.
Okay.
So it's kind of a plus with Oklahoma being in that regard.
So CAJ, normally when we hear the name, it's CAGE.
Yes.
But you have a very unique way of spelling your name.
Yes. So
How you spell it?
It is spelled CAJ. I always say all caps, never capping. But yeah, CAJ, it's fast it's an acronym in a sense for my full name, somewhat full name. I'll keep the end government off, but Caleb Alvin James. So I think, like when you were young and your parents would yell at you, you got the full middle name. I was in trouble so much, my parents just CAJ, and then I knew. I was like, oh, okay.
They got tired of
they got tired of saying the full name, so they were just like, you know what? He's just a heathen. We gotta shorten this call. And I went through multiple different artist names growing up, and kind of couldn't find one that encompassed really who I am as an artist. Like I would go into maybe even just like something very singer-songwriter-ish in my head, which was like Alvin James. But I'm like, but that doesn't work for like if I'm wanting to rap on something, So trying to find something that didn't sound too rappery-ish, not too singer-songwriter-ish, and then eventually I just really just gave up in a sense. I don't say gave up, more surrendered to it. It's like one has already kind of been picked for me throughout my growing up. Everybody in Ohio primarily knows me, which is very interesting because, most people know me up there as CAJ. Very few know me. A couple people, Caleb, but for the most part, if you knew me, you called me CAJ. So I think it was only fitting to eventually just adopt that name. And I understand people will mispronounce it. It's part of the journey of the name, and eventually it'll be something that fans will have a laugh over because somebody will be like, oh, I really like that guy CAJ, and they can be like, it's CAJ, and you're like,
but that's good conversation piece. And plus, when you're building the brand, they're gonna always mistake the name. But I think
right, and that's another thing. It's like not to think too hard into it. It'll solve itself. It'll be something. And the English language is a bunch of nonsense, anyways. When you we look at words, you're like, why does that sound like that? But then all of a sudden that letter's there and it sounds completely opposite. So we're making shit up as we go anyway.
Right.
So.
Man, I ran across your music. Your music is very, very unique, and it's contagious.
That is, thank you for that. It's always very just interesting being an artist in general, because it is a very vulnerable side of things, especially when you make more than just hip hop. Or I'm not saying hip hop's not vulnerable, but like when you make multiple different genres, it's very easy to almost get contained in a single box that people want to see you in. And for me, that's not my relationship with music. My relationship with music is humbly selfish in a sense. That's why I've learned as many instruments as I could, and I learned how to produce and mix and engineer because it was like, in a sense, keeper of a flame. I have to be able to, I couldn't afford to hire a bass player, but I could afford to buy a bass one time and learn it. So that was always my mindset. Even with film and video, I do a lot of my own videos, which in doing that, have found a love for directing and creating and having that visual eye of catching things in motion. But I think just learning all the multiple skills music-wise, and not being afraid to listen to all types of music. I've always said there's only two genres, good and shit. That's it. Because you can deny yourself of so many good stories if you allow yourself to fall into even a listener's box of like, oh, I only listen to hip hop. Well, it's like, man, you can hear some wild stuff if you go listen to this country record and it's good.
Yeah.
So, and me being very just an open-minded listener growing up, ultimately cultivated this very crazy mesh wiring of the sound that I do. Because it is uniquely me, which is hard in this era. And I think I've had to push myself to a level of like, in this day and age, looking, it's like, how do you reach to the levels of, or pull off the greatness even close to someone like a Michael Jackson and a Prince, like what they did in the era and the energy that was captivated around them, musically, especially nowadays when we're going so much against AI and people could literally at this point just type in a song they want. How as an artist do you just, I don't know, really make that kind of game-changing statement?
Yeah.
You know, how do you let me disrupt some shit. Let me shake some things up, flip the world upside down for a second.
Right. So let me ask you, what got you into music?
It's always been in my head, constantly. Truly, like it's my growing up. My nickname was sound effects because my parents were like, you were always walking around making noises and just noises and little rhythms and this and that ever since you were a kid. And I think that kind of does tie in even today. Like I don't listen to a lot of music. I definitely do, but for the most part, if I'm in my car, I'm pretty much like learning something audiobook wise, or a good podcast, something like that. It's rare that I put on like music, or if I'm listening to what the latest Billboard hit is. I have no idea. But I drive in silence a lot because half the time I'm creating a song while I'm driving. I'm like, oh, this is this whole part here, and I try to force myself to get better at listening to other music for sure. I'm like, you should open up your ears and expand a little bit. For the most part, I just be chilling, especially on the motorcycle too. It's just wind, cars, and all my surroundings,
And your thoughts.
yeah, and my thoughts, and just just cruising.
So at what age did these sounds start playing in your head?
I mean, kind of as far back as I can remember, but like around 7 is when I started getting into like instruments.
7 years old?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which brings me to my next question. By those sounds going off in your head, right? And you start mimicking the sounds, did that make you want to pursue the instrument or learn how to play it?
Yeah,
After mimicking it?
yeah, how else can I get what's in my head out besides just me? And then you figure out about instruments, and you're like, oh, okay. Even as a kid, you're like, oh, that's a tool. That's a tool to get the sounds up here, out here. And I think that's just how I gravitated towards playing instruments. And then once I learned one, it was kind of like, oh, I want to experiment with like what that one is like. Because one of my favorite instruments, and I haven't played it in years. Can I again? Absolutely. I can do. My mindset's very like I can do anything with time and persistence. I don't even if I'm not gonna do something, if it's not a priority, I still don't put limits mentally on myself. Going, I can't play that.
So how many instruments do you really play?
Really play, I would say guitar, drums, saxophone, keys. What would be my other one? And bass. Okay. Yeah. Those are like the main ones because for me, those are kind of the fundamental. I need to make song instruments. Being able to lay down a good bass line, then added some guitar flair to it. But then also being a producer in a way of making beats and knowing how to use a keyboard in a way of a MIDI controller and run 808s and loops and things like that. So and I try to do that quite a bit by playing a lot of my own. Even if I'm making a rap song, I try not to go for like samples. I try to play something and then I can sample that of me playing if I need to. Okay. I try to keep everything very, very, hey, this is my soul.
So out of all the instruments you name, which is your favorite?
Definitely guitar.
You love the guitar.
Yeah, that's my...
Is that the first instrument that you picked up that you want to learn how to play?
No, because I had learned multiple instruments before that. I had done clarinet, violin, viola. I ended up quitting violin and viola because I was kind of test running them to see what I was going to play in orchestra at the time. And then I ended up going to cello. And cello I played for quite a few years. So that was my main one. But it's funny because I hit this very rebellious era of life where I quit all team-oriented stuff. I quit football, I quit baseball, quit track, picked up skateboarding. There's a very independent type of mindset and attitude that comes with that sport. And then that led me to guitar.
Hold up, Cage. Let's take it back a few steps.
Yeah.
I missed something along the way. You actually played sports too?
Yes. So my dad was actually a basketball coach, so my whole family played basketball. If I couldn't play basketball, I was out of the way.
Was you nice with it?
I am good. I would say I'm more fundamental than fancy.
Okay.
But defense, smart, I'll hold you down, and I got a good shot. So it's like I ain't gonna be one of these guys doing all the fancy dribbles, this and that. But you give me the ball, I'll get it in. And then football was definitely probably like my favorite sport. I was a huge football kid growing up. And then my dad ran track and field, so I eventually ran track and field. I did high jump, and I did 100-meter hurdles, 200-meter hurdles, and the 200-meter dash.
So, anything that you try to do, you always look over at the other possibilities that's inside the genre and try to perfect that as well.
Yeah, and there's a system to good songs, and then there's that way of like breaking that system by mashing things up that I guess society wouldn't see coming. So it's all about pushing those boundaries of like, oh, people, I was just talking to a buddy. I was a death metal kid growing up. Like I said, I liked all music. But there's a band, I can't remember the name, it just came across a clip of it on TikTok, and it was like country metal, very in the perfect mesh of a way that I was like, that's awesome. But, most people would be like, that doesn't work. And they're like, it worked right there. So it's like, there's no rules to it except for the ones we make up. But undeniably, there is a sense of, you can definitely be too different to where you're like, okay, we don't need to take away from the music so much and try to be so unique and so different that we're tearing apart the song that we're making just because we want it to be so drastically different. We're not making good music.
Right. I want to ask you a question. You gave up all the sports that you were good at to pursue music.
Yeah, I gave up a lot to pursue music.
How hard of a choice was that for you?
It was definitely quite a just mental commitment, but I do have probably till this day, I have a problem with authority for sure. And so that's what led me to getting out of organized sports and things like, I got tired of coaches, I got tired of people telling me what to do. And with skateboarding, it was I can still be physically active, I'm still working out brain to body muscles and reasonably on a crazier level. And I got really into skateboarding, and it became, it taught me things that I don't think any other sport could, because when you fall and you hit the ground for the 10th time and your hips out to here and your shins all bloodied up and you're like, I'm not leaving until I get this trick. It really does enforce a delayed gratification system in the body, even to be like, hey, you want that trick? It's not going to sometimes, yeah, it happens first try, sure. But you're going to go to war for it. But that feeling of when you land it trumps all the pain, the wake up with the next day. You're like, I think it's because you're just a thing of like, I did it. I told myself I was going to do it. I saw it through and I did it. And so skateboarding definitely molded my mindset, even musically. That drove me into like I said, couldn't afford to pay somebody for this. I'm going to figure out a way to pay for it myself and do what I need to do.
Okay. So at what point did you feel that you made it with the music, that this is what you wanted to do?
I was going to say, yeah, made it. I don't know if we're there yet. I mean, in a sense, I guess I am, because...
Well, the reason I say that is because I've seen you perform in front of crowds of 1,000 people, and they're singing your songs. They're engaging with the music.
Yeah.
So, what would you call it?
I mean, that is definitely success, because I mean the main goal with music truly was always connectivity, like just connecting to people. I just wanted to be able to be friends with kind of everybody. And I know that sounds kind of goofy, but I guess in a sense, when you have a notoriety or celebrityism, you kind of do get away with more with quote unquote strangers, so to speak. You know, if you're known in the streets, you can just go sit up with people that are fans of yours and be like, hey, let's hang out. And they're like, yeah. And then I'm like, cool, I get to talk. Like, I like meeting new people. I like conversations. I like figuring out why we're all here on Earth anyways, and people's perspectives. And I like to dive into that as much as possible. And the best way to learn is to talk to people. And so, you know, I've had shows where I was out of state and fans of mine were like, hey, if you don't have anywhere to crash here, like, you can crash on our couch. And it's like, thank you. Next thing you know, I'm getting a home cooked meal, having a conversation with cool people. And then it's like, all right, wake up the next morning, leave, may never see him again. But hey, like, that's, so I think success-wise, yes, there's definitely levels of the definition of what you would perceive. So am I successful in the way that I have made music that has impacted people's life and made a connectivity? Absolutely. Am I currently experiencing the level of success I know I'm capable of? No, which is exciting because it means I'm just getting started.
Well, I just think that it's a matter of perspective, because if you really celebrating each victory in real time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the things that we see that you've accomplished, somebody that book a show might do, they might have 10 people there.
Mm-hmm.
They might look at you and be like,
right. And it's a heavy level of perception. I think that's why it's so important for a person of any medium of art or just anything that you do have to have your definition of success. Like, I'm successful because I've made a song, recorded a song, performed a song, and connected with people, regardless if it's to mass amounts or just, and that one person continued their life because they heard one record, or this
Absolutely.
one person found a way to get emotions out during a song that, you know, and it's always interesting as an artist too, because sometimes it'll be songs that you're like, huh? And people are like, yo. And you get to see other people's perspectives of the song you wrote. And in my mind, the song was kind of about this, but in their mind, they perceived it as this.
absolutely.
And you're like, whoa.
And that's crazy.
And it's so cool because that's how they figured out a way for that song to get them through that day. And so it's like, sure, there's the money, the cars, all that stuff, that comes with it. But ultimately, it's like, just
Well,
put
it
me
only
in front.
comes with it if you want it to come with you. If you wanted
Right.
that to be a part of your world.
Yes.
If that's what success means to you.
Correct. And
Right.
I mean, I have no qualms and quarrels against people that like the finer things in life. I myself, I love supercars. Do I plan on having a lot? Absolutely. But I think it's just how you got that money and how you go about having it. You know what I'm saying? It's
Absolutely.
like, but I don't look at anybody that has a Lamborghini or multiple or Ferraris. I never look at them with like disgust and be like, ah, Rich did it. I'm like, it's honestly, I look at cars like that and the luxury side of things as works of art in their own right. A good piece of jewelry, a good clothing article, this or that. Now, yeah, obviously some stuff gets stupidly overpriced where it's like based off principle. That's just stupid. I'm not buying that.
Right.
So there's definitely levels of it. I'll spend a lot more money on a car than I will a coat or
Okay.
something like that.
Now, CAJ, recently I ran across some footage of you doing the national anthem.
Yes.
That performance with the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, it was an awesome experience. It was awesome watching it.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
It was crazy because, to be honest, it wasn't even my idea. It was my cousin's idea. He's like, man, you know, it'd be cool if you did the national anthem. I was like, in my head, I'm thinking like, no, I don't want to do that. That just sounds like it's going to take me away from creating my music. So I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna learn it and practice it and this, that, and the other. And then I eventually bit, and I was like, okay, I will go and I'll go and do it. And I learned it, put it out on IG, like a quick, like the very first rendition. I did it on July 4th, and it got like good responses. And so what did I do? I ended up emailing the baseball park here in Oklahoma to see about doing it live for the first time. And I mean, the reception was so good of it that eventually I did the Paycom 3 times. I'm sure I'll do it again. And then I just recently did for the MLB, that was cool. Being a kid that grew up playing baseball, and now I have the Major League Baseball in my email reaching out to me to take part in one of their events and to open it with the national anthem. So for me, that was really crazy, really cool. As much as I love it, and I do love performing it, especially when they give me no stipulations and I just get to pour my heart and soul into it, it always does feel good to put on in my mind, a very real representation of America, and put on, you know, as much as all this world is a stage anyways, but, you know, I like the idea. I love the American people. I love the idea of it. I know deep down we're here. I don't like our government. I'll say that flat out. But I love the people. You know, the people is where we thrive. So if I can do, it's like anytime I do the national anthem, I do take it very serious as like an honor of like, and also you can't mess it up. It's one of I've done huge shows. I've done major crowds. I can mess up my song, quote unquote, in front of that. Whatever. You mess up America's, it's a different ball game. They're not so forgiving.
Oh, okay.
So every time I do the national anthem, it is definitely one of the most nerve-wracking like moments leading up. Like 10 minutes before, I'm chilling, I'm backstage, I'm good. I see that 3-minute marker, and I'm like, okay.
Everything starts kicking in.
Yeah, because like, oh wait, sound check can go great, rehearsal can go great, but in that minute 42 seconds, everything has to be perfect. And so, yeah, in that moment, I mean, I'm so locked in, I'm not even there to really playing it. Right. But then also as a player, you can be dialed in while you're playing it, but you also it has to be like entertaining. So I choreographed certain moves while I'm doing it live that I can go like, okay, during this part of the song when I'm doing a finger bend here, I don't have to be so focused on what this hand is right here, so I can move my knee. I can drop a leg and make it more theatrical, truly. Okay. Even though in the moment I am authentically feeling that because the adrenaline's.
But are you thinking ahead to do these things, or have you rehearsed them, or
a little bit of both? I always like pivot points. Like, yeah, there's certain things that I'm like, oh, that does on an entertainment level, that looks good to do that. But then there's been times where can't do that, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You pivot, and you kind of that's when you really just allow yourself to go with the flow. It's no different than just being so rehearsed that like even when you think you're about to mess up, your subconscious doesn't even let you. Okay. Which has happened to me playing the national anthem a couple times, where I've played it and mentally I snap out the zone for a second, and I'm like in my head I'm like, oh, I'm about to mess up, and then my body and my fingers take over and do the correct thing, and then I snap back in, and I'm like, that's the joys of muscle memory and like kind of really playing that a lot to have it locked in.
If you had to define your music, what would it be?
That's not tough. I mean, really, probably cliche as it sounds, it's just me. It's very hard. I've had some people classify me as like trap rock, which to a degree I actually do like that but that's still only a segment of what I do. Because like I said, I wake up some mornings and I have a country riff running through my head. Can't get it out. Give me a guitar. I'll sit here, I'll make the chords, I'll play the melody. Boom, there's that. And I really don't like songwriting for people, so I've never been one to be like, I'm going to sell this song to so-and-so. Like I said, my relationship with music is very selfish. So if I create something, I typically want to be the person that does it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, my sound, I mean, man. Yeah, universal in a way.
That's a tough question.
It's a very tough one because it's like, yeah, you know, I guess it's just CAJ at that point. And I think that's how people have kind of interpreted it even live, because my live shows, I go from, I'll start a show with a cover of like Ain't No Sunshine, and then by the end of it, I have a bulletproof vest on and a ski mask, and you're kind of like, this is all happening in the same show right now?
Is this really the same person?
But I've also learned that done right, people love it. And for me, just being me, that was a big insecurity I had to get over, because I had people whispering in my ears saying, you know, oh, you need to stick to one style. And I'm like, but then I'm trapping myself artistically, like for my own expression.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm not going to release a rap song because y'all don't perceive it as a rap this or that, or I'm not going to do an acoustic song because y'all perceive me as a rapper. I'm like, no, you're free to your own opinion and perception. So I'm just going to make music. Like, if it's good or if it's bad, doesn't matter. I'm creating, and that once again, ringing in that music back to being a little selfish with it.
Now, CAJ, man, you have a very unique look about yourself. I can understand the trap rock genre, but the trap rock look.
Yeah.
You have the braids, right? Yeah. You wear the cool glasses.
Shout out Portrait.
The way you dress. But there's something very unique about you, man.
Yeah.
And it's two things I thought about when I saw you. One was Colonel Sanders, and there was a famous baseball player out of Milwaukee called Riley Fingers.
Oh, okay. I feel like I've heard that name.
Riley Fingers. Your mustache. Your mustache. Let's talk about. What inspired the mustache?
I think I was probably like 14, I think. And I really don't know what. I think I just saw it somewhere and was like, oh, that's cool. And then one day I do remember being in one of my homies' garages, and it was me and two other my homies, and I mentioned something. I was like, yeah, when my mustache gets big enough, I'm gonna curl it. And one of my homies was like, that's absolutely stupid, don't do that. And really right then and there, it was more of like a, F you, now I'm definitely doing it. And then like my other homie was like, no, that sounds tight, you should do that. And I was already decided, and he kind of reinforced it. But once I got that remark from him, it was really kind of that whole thing of like, yeah, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. And then I just did it, and it never went away, you know. And it is very interesting. Like, I didn't intend. It has in a way become part of the brand. No doubt, not like ashamed to admit it. But in that same breath, the mustache doesn't make me who I am. As up or down, it's same guy. But also, you know, I think I liked it. I do it in many different styles, and then eventually it became very like it branded itself. Very much like, you know, it's funny how when I surrendered trying to create a bunch of different things as an artist, just letting them come about by just being authentically me, like my name, CAJ. It's like, I've been called that my entire life. That's not a name I made up for myself or anything like that. And then the mustache becoming such kind of like a, dare I say, iconicness to it, I was like, oh, I just like doing it and was wearing it all the time. But now people very much so, if you're like, oh, you know CAJ? I'm like, who? That mustache? Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's like, oh, okay, like that in my business or in my realm of career, that's a good thing. That's a plus. And I do like it, you know. If I don't do it, it gets more in the way
Okay.
than if I do it.
I
Like if
got
I
you.
don't do it, the shit's all like eating. And I get mustache hair in my mouth. I'm like, I need to put it up to get it out of the way now.
Okay.
But it's always intriguing, and honestly, it goes back to that thing of me being wanting to connect with people. It's hands down a wild conversation starter.
Okay.
Like the amount of people like the amount of people I've met at bars that turned into like legitimate friends, just from me turning around and like I remember we're hanging out with some people, and one of the guys in the group saw my boots that I had on at the time. He's like, "Dude, nice boots," and I'm not even looking at him. I turn around, and he sees the mustache. He's like, "Dude, what a tight mustache." He's like, "Let me buy this dude a shot just because he's got a cool mustache." I'm like, "All right, whatever." And then I ended up hanging out with like a whole new friend group that night. That got weaved in from a mustache. So it really is great when it comes to meeting people. Honestly,
Definitely an icebreaker.
it's an icebreaker, and I think people enjoy that because people do genuinely like. I'm used to people coming up and wanting to talk to me, non-famous or famous. I've
Right.
kind of had that. People are like, like, what's your deal? Hey man, saw you from across the way, and I just got asked, like, what's your deal? What do you do? And I'm just like, man, right now, I'm just trying to live my life to the absolute fullest, and honestly, but make some
Great music.
real change. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, Cage, how is it working with Gorilla Zoe?
It was that whole the way it came about. I can only think that God designed that, because as much as it was just funny, because my brother, when we were way younger, entered like my brother was the first person I've heard ever listen to Gorilla Zoe, and so to come back once again, like full circle years later, I remember calling my brother and be like, "Dude, I just did my first song Gorilla Zoe," and he's like, "Wait, what?" And so it was very interesting, like kind of having that full circle. But yeah, me as the artist that I am, if you would have told me like, oh, I would have had such a relationship and friendship with him, I would have never saw it coming. But yeah, with Cutta being really the person that brought that together, it did end up kind of brewing into like a really cool, like, that's my dog, you know what I'm saying? Traveled all around, continued to, and he's one of the kindest people, honestly, like genuine as far as like out in public and things like that. Hands down, one of the nicest people. He can break ice with people, even if they're just like looking at him. He'll break the ice with them first and make them feel so much more comfortable, like right off the rip. It's
Right,
like,
right.
oh, cool. So he's genuinely down to earth, amazing songwriter and artist as well. So even in my regard, I look up to it as far as like oh yeah, you can write your ass off, and got bars for sure. And then yeah, the energy is just fun to be in the studio with. Great stage presence, always fun to perform with. We have a very good, from what people have said, at least when we get off stage, people would think like, oh, y'all rehearsed, or y'all must have been performing for years. But that was like in the beginning. So yeah, I would have never expected, just given the trajectory of where my career was going, that like me and Gorilla Zoe would have ever crossed paths. But dynamically, man, we sound really good.
Yeah, y'all do.
We sound.
I can agree with that.
The polarity and the voices and the switch up they work. There's no doubt about it.
So how did you end up meeting Cutta? How did you meet the legend Cutta?
Crazy. Oh, where was I at before? Well, I was working like another job, and this was back in 2019. They were doing workshops here for film and music. So I decided to do every single one of them, both music and film, for like a whole month and a half. So I got in here through the workshop, and they basically said like, hey, if you deemed like a good prospect, you can get a paid internship here at the studio. And so the first time I was actually up here, rewind a little bit. First time I was up here, I was on a paid guitar gig. I was playing guitar for somebody on a record, went to Studio B, and then I left here and was like, yo, I want to work. I want to be in that studio. I didn't even know this place existed. And once I seen everything, I was like, I want to be up here all the time. And then eventually became an intern, became a video intern actually, like where I was editing short films for this place and doing video camera work and not even music, but I was doing anything to stay under the roof here. Anything I had to do. So, I mean, I genuinely went from sweeping floors in this building to being basically the manager. I mean, I redid the payment system. I built the merch. I built commercials. I built everything under the sun in this building, but it was all ultimately to stay in the building.
In the building.
And then Cutta being, head of production here when I eventually was deemed also the music intern. Even before then, though, we had, just, it was a cool relationship, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm a sponge. I'm here to learn. I'm here to do cool stuff. And so really just sitting in on the sessions, playing it cool, never overstepping, just kind of checking values, checking boundaries, and eventually, I remember the day we made Dirty Gloves, which was the first record that I released with Gorilla Zoe, which is crazy because it sat for a while, incomplete, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But I was literally sweeping Studio A, and Cutta had walked around out to the main lobby or the stage area, and he's like, I want you to hear something. So I was like, all right, let me pop in here. He played the beat. I'm sitting, he clicks it, I hear it, I pull my phone out, and I'm just typing. And he's like, oh, you ain't fucking with it. And I'm like, no, I got the hook. And with less than 2-3 minutes, I have the hook there, and we tracked it, and he's like, holy shit. We're
deal.
We're done. We're already done. And so that's kind of how I am I don't have, when people say, do you have a formula for writing? No, some days I have sporadic ideas that I'll write down and build around. Some days I will sit down and write something. But sometimes I've gotten to the point now where I can pretty much hear something for the first time and go,
okay,
this is what it needs to be. And then write around that, even with Can You, the first whole intro section, I only had 4 bass words. I had none of the in-between rhymes. I just had the words I wanted to rhyme. That's all I had on my notes. And that's what I tracked. And then the rest is freestyle. If it's cool, it stays. If it's not, track over it.
Okay.
But main thing is letting the natural melody come first. Because melody's king.
Okay. Well, CAJ, it's been a very, very in-depth conversation with you.
It's been awesome, man. Yeah.
It's been enlightening to hear your story and sit with our artists of your caliber.
I appreciate it having me.
I want to thank you for coming on the platform. Cold Red, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yes.
I'm your host, the Playmaker, and this is the artist, CAJ.
Tap in with me, CAJ the Beast, CAJ the Beast on all social media, everywhere you can find it, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all that. CAJ the Beast, CAJ the Beast. I'll see y'all later.
And we out.